Why Jake Paul as opposed to a rematch with Lamont Roach?
Uh, it just, I don't want to put a lot out there, but
Tank Davis just made the most hated decision in boxing right now, and when he finally opened his mouth to explain why, even his critics couldn't believe what they heard. Gervonta Davis was supposed to fight Lamont Roach again. That was the plan. That was what everyone wanted to see. But instead, Tank said, no thanks, and picked a fight with Jake Paul, a YouTuber. And boxing fans everywhere lost their minds. Here's what makes this whole thing crazy. Back in March, Davis fought Lamont Roach, and the fight ended in a draw. But here's the thing. Most people watching that fight thought Tank actually lost. The judges called it a draw, but fans and experts were saying Roach won that night. So naturally, everyone wanted to see them fight again to settle it for real. The WBA even ordered the rematch. That's the boxing organization that controls Tank's lightweight title. They said you have to fight Roach again. This wasn't just about what fans wanted. This was an official order. Tank was supposed to defend his belt against Roach. But Tank had other plans, and those plans involve someone who weighs almost 100 pounds more than him. Now, before we get to Tank's explanation, you need to understand who was really mad about this. Lamont Roach himself. The moment the Jake Paul fight was announced, Roach went straight to social media. He posted, "Told ya, lol," with 4 duck emojis. He was calling Tank a ducker right there for everyone to see. But Roach didn't stop there. When Tank tried to explain his decision at the press conference, Roach roasted him again. He posted on X saying every time he got to explain why he fighting Jake, with a crying Lisa Simpson picture. That's brutal. Roach was basically saying Tank's excuses sound ridiculous every single time. And you know what? Roach has every right to be upset. He earned that rematch. He fought Tank to a draw. Many people think he actually beat Tank. The boxing organization ordered the rematch. This was his moment, his big payday, his chance to prove he could beat one of the best fighters in the world. And Tank just walked away from it. So, what did Tank actually say when people asked him about this? This is where it gets interesting. At the September press conference, someone asked him straight up, "Why are you fighting Jake Paul instead of Lamont Roach?" Tank's answer was,
it just, I don't want to put a lot out there, but it just, doing what's best for me and what's right for me. And I've been doing this for a little minute now. I've been doing it since I was 7 years old. So this is the first camp I can, enjoy myself and be back myself.
That's his explanation. He's doing what's best for him. He's been boxing since he was 7 years old, and now he wants to enjoy himself. That's what he told everyone who wanted to know why he's fighting a YouTuber instead of defending his title. He started to say more about the Roach situation, but then stopped himself.
So, even leading up to the rematch of the Roach fight, it was more so I don't want to get too much in it, but
He didn't finish the thought. He left everyone hanging. Boxing fans were not impressed. The response to this explanation was basically, "That's it?" People felt like Tank gave him nothing, no real reason, no clear answer, just vague talk about doing what's best for himself. But Tank's trainer, Calvin Ford, had more to say. Ford came out and defended Tank's decision. And his reasoning tells you everything about how Team Tank sees the situation. Ford said, "Tank, everybody he fights, he makes famous. Roach was a nobody before he fought him. He was a world champion." Ford is basically saying Roach should be grateful Tank even fought him once. He's saying Tank made Roach relevant. Ford kept going. "I understand that's the biggest payday of his life, but it's more out there. Look at Pitbull. He's running with it." He's talking about Isaac Cruz, another fighter Tank faced. Ford's point is that fighters who face Tank should use that opportunity to build their careers, not expect a rematch. Then Ford said something that really shows what Tank's priorities are. "If I said forget about it, Tank, because it's about taking care of your family, it's based on what the fighters want to do. This is about money. Tank wants to get paid, And ultimately, it's Tank's choice. The reports say Tank regularly tells people he's not worried about his legacy. He wants big paydays, and the Jake Paul fight is definitely a big payday. But how did we even get here? How did a fight between a world champion who weighs 135 pounds and a YouTuber who weighs 200 pounds become a thing? Well, Jake Paul has been planning this for a while. Back in 2021, Paul made a list of fighters he wanted to face. At that time, he was just 3 wins into his boxing career. He'd beaten other YouTubers and some MMA fighters, but he put together a list of dream opponents. That list included Gervonta Davis. Tank and Jake have been going back and forth on social media for years. They've talked trash, they've called each other out. Earlier this year, they actually started negotiating a real fight. But then Tank fought Roach, and it ended in that controversial draw. So the Paul fight got put on hold. Jake went and fought Julio Cesar Jr., while Tank figured out what he wanted to do. And what Tank decided was he'd rather fight Jake Paul than run it back with Lamont Roach. The deal got done in August. Here's something else that's wild. Tank has been saying he might retire soon. He hasn't committed to fighting his biggest rivals like Shakur Stevenson. He's even suggested he might retire right after the Jake Paul fight. So Tank might be choosing to end his career fighting a YouTuber instead of proving himself against the best fighters at his weight. Now let's talk about the actual fight details, because this is where it gets really crazy. This fight is not a real professional boxing match. It's an exhibition. That means it doesn't count on anyone's official record. No winner gets officially declared. It's just for entertainment. The fight will happen on November 14th in Miami. It'll stream on Netflix so everyone can watch. They'll fight for 10 rounds, 3 minutes each. Both guys will wear 12-ounce gloves, which is heavier than what Tank normally wears. Tank usually wears 8-ounce gloves. The weight for the fight, 195 pounds. Let me explain why that number is absolutely insane. Tank weighed 133 pounds in his last fight against Roach. He has never in his entire career weighed more than 140 pounds. Jake Paul weighed almost 200 pounds in his last fight. His heaviest was 227 pounds when he fought Mike Tyson. Do the math. That's a potentially 60 to 90 pound difference. Some people are saying it could be close to a 100-pound difference on fight night. That's not a fight. That's a big guy fighting a small guy. At the press conference, when they stood face-to-face, Jake Paul towered over Tank. The size difference was shocking to see in person. It looked like a dad standing next to his kid. People are calling this bullying. They're saying, what's the point? How is this fair? If Jake wants respect from real boxers, why is he fighting someone so much smaller? But here's the thing. Both fighters know exactly what they're doing. It's about money and attention. Remember when Floyd Mayweather fought Logan Paul, Jake's brother? That was also an exhibition with a huge size difference. Logan weighed 189 pounds, Floyd weighed 155 pounds. The fight went 8 rounds, and nothing much happened. Floyd never really tried to hurt Logan. But this fight might be different. Jake is a better boxer than his brother Logan. Tank is still in his prime, unlike Floyd, who was retired. And there seemed to be real bad blood between them. A loss would hurt Tank's reputation badly, and if Tank somehow knocks out Jake, that would destroy Jake's plans to fight bigger names like Anthony Joshua. Speaking of money, Jake revealed something interesting on his podcast. There's a huge knockout bonus in this fight. If one guy knocks the other guy out, they get a massive bonus payment. Jake wouldn't say how much, but he said it's big enough for both fighters to really go for it. That changes everything. Instead of a light sparring session, now both guys have a real reason to try and win. For Jake, it's a chance to beat a real champion. For Tank, it's a chance to prove he's still special even when fighting someone way bigger. Jake Paul's record is 12 wins and 1 loss with 7 knockouts. People still question who he's fought, but his win over Julio Cesar Jr. showed that he's more than just a YouTuber playing around. Tank's record is 30 wins, 0 losses, 1 draw, with 28 knockouts. One of the best records in all of boxing. But some people are wondering if Tank is still the same fighter. The Lamont Roach fight showed maybe Tank isn't as sharp as before. One commentator said,
I don't think he's the same Tank that we saw the most incredible knockouts. We saw him, Lamont Roach performed great. They went to draw and, I just don't know. And Tank walked away. I don't know if he loves it enough to beat a guy who outweighs him by 80 to 100 pounds.
Not everyone in boxing is mad at Tank, though. Some fighters understand what he's doing. He's taking control of his career. He's deciding how it ends. He's getting paid. Fighters like Teofimo Lopez get it. They see Tank making a business decision. But others like Ryan Garcia said boxing is turning into WWE with these kinds of fights. The line between real competition and entertainment is disappearing. Even the media is split. ESPN's Andres Hale said the fight looks weird, but the scale and structure makes sense. It's an experiment. It could change how exhibition boxing works. And with Netflix involved, millions of people will watch.